What's up, maniacs? My name is Mex. I'm a wrestling fan, a wrestling enthusiast, a WrestleManiac, if you will. Back again for another mini-sode where we look at some of the most asked questions in the internet wrestling community. And as you can see, I'm joined with one of my most favorite people in this community, Steve from the SCW Wrestling channel. Steve, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. And likewise, one of my favorite channels. Always great to collaborate. I love working with you. And yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to discussing this topic today.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. We're gonna get into Steve's channel, all the great stuff he does over there towards the end of the show. But you know, you guys know what we do here. We have these conversations. So click the subscribe button, click the like button, all that good stuff. Let's jump into this. You can see the question on the screen. Is Sami Zayn WWE's best character? Before I say any other stuff, Steve, what's your answer and why?
Oh, to say yes or no immediately in there. Do you know what? I feel right now Sami Zayn is the hottest property in WWE. I think he has to be the best character right now. If you look at the start when this began, where Sami Zayn had lost at WrestleMania to Johnny Knoxville, which, let's be fair, was a lot of fun going through that conspiracy at that time. We wonder what the direction for Sami Zayn would be next. And the fact that he sort of saw himself as that locker room leader, said he would sort of, handle things with the bloodline, trying to get chummy with Paul Heyman, with the Usos, with Roman. He had to build his way to get to the role he's at now. But each layer of the story, I've found myself getting more and more invested. At the start, I was like, not sure how I was going to find it. I've got to say, an early doors, it looks like where we're at now, and we're at October 19th right now. I think, yeah, he's the hottest commodity in WWE right now.
Yeah, like his story arc, and as wrestling fans, because there is literally so much to consume and we're watching wrestling so many hours, we were just saying before, we're recording today where, there's been a Dynamite, there's been an NXT. We all need to catch up on everything that's gone on today. Like, there is so much stuff. But for me, Sami Zayn has almost been attempting this managerial character or whatever this is for quite a while. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a draft. He moved over to SmackDown and they weren't doing nothing with him. And like they paired him. At first, he was trying to like sell his services to Shinsuke Nakamura as the Intercontinental Champion. And then eventually he got Cesaro in on the act. And I think he tried to get Daniel Bryan in. Daniel Bryan wasn't having it. And then eventually, I don't know what happened. I can't remember. But he then had like a falling out with Shinsuke Nakamura. And then I think he won the IC title after that for the first time. Do you remember all of that?
Do you know what? It's only now that you mention it, like it's a very good comparison how you have the parallel with those two stories, because I must admit I'd forgotten. I mean, the pandemic's happening amongst all of that, so the world literally feels like it's been 10 years longer already. So I mean, if we go back a decade ago, then when Sami started the storyline, or a couple of years ago, as you say, it literally was a case of where you can see those comparisons, and Sami's character was organically getting over in that role. Then that led him, like you said, when the breakaway happened with Nakamura and Cesaro, they went off to do their tag team stuff, didn't they? They were tag team champions at that point. Sami's went on to become the IC champion, like you said. They had a great run with, I think, like you said, they had the match with Daniel Bryan at the pandemic WrestleMania at the Performance Center, and the great ladder match with AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy.
And Jeff Hardy, Clash of Champions,
So I mean, like that was an absolute belter of a match. So Sami's been building this character for a while. Like we said, we went through the conspiracy WrestleMania 37 with Kevin Owens as well. I think KO may have a part to play in this story that we're talking about now eventually. So I mean, the thing is with Sami, it's been very organic, and he's sort of had his role where he's been sort of in the background, that sort of he's had a position in the card where he wasn't elevated too highly, but you always knew that you were getting 5-star performances out of Sami Zayn with his character work. You knew whatever he was going to put forward. Like I said, my personal favorite at the time until now was that conspiracy theory where getting people to come down to the ring with him, with the stuff with trying to get Logan Paul on his side. That sort of stuff was brilliant. Then it sort of went on with the Johnny Knoxville stuff as well, like we said before, going into WrestleMania this year. And Sami's always just found his way in that key role. But now that Sami Zayn's got in with this bloodline storyline, you could argue and say, where you said there with the question, yes, he is becoming WWE's best character because the reaction he's getting. He always had a good reaction where people were kind of like, oh, that's brilliant what Sami's done there. But we all just sort of knew his role on the card. Yeah. Now it's getting to a point where you're starting to feel like everyone really cheers for Sami when he's in the ring. And you start thinking to yourself, we want more. And that's where you can start arguing, not only is he his best character, but maybe it's time for Sami to start moving up.
This is exactly it. And this is where we're going to take the conversation. Like, you know, they make their entrance, the Bloodline, in all their regalness and looking so cool as they do it. You see Sami Zayn bopping around in the back, like having a jig. He's just absolutely crazy. They get into the ring. Obviously, what we're seeing right now is a lot of loggerheads between Roman and Jey Uso. And Sami Zayn is almost, you know, let me interrupt, let me try and save the situation. And the crowd goes ballistic. It's like, Sami. Like, he's definitely got this character over from, like you say, on the fringes of trying to kind of impress to be within the Bloodline, to now it's like, I'm here and I'm almost the peacekeeper now. Like, you can count on Sami to break up the situation. And between him and, you know, talk about his bromance with Jimmy, whilst, you know, at the same time him and Jay aren't seeing eye to eye at the minute.
It's amazing how they're playing that storyline so perfectly, like you say, because the fact he's managed to work his way into the Bloodline, it's not to everybody's taste. And the story with Jey Uso, as great as Sami's character is, we can't ignore the role of Jey Uso, because he's actually powering up everything that we're loving of what we're seeing. And I think that that's beautifully done the way it's done. Like you said, the handshakes with Jimmy, that's just awesome. I mean, to be fair, like, you know, I've tried a couple of handshakes like that in my day. I always muck them up. You know, I just stick to a fist bump me these days. But you know, it's been beautiful to watch. And yeah, I mean, Jey Uso in the background, watching how he's done. Now that Sami's kind of got the role of Jey Uso as well, keeping him in tabs on behalf of Roman, because Roman's not doing, you know, the full dates. He's the part-time schedule. It keeps things ticking over when Roman's not around as well. It keeps that storyline, the relevance of the Bloodline, because okay, the Usos are doing fantastic as you know, the tag team champions of both brands. Solo Sikoa's come in, who's done a great job as well. Solo's role as well, just adopting Sami Zayn, almost saying like, I can learn a lot from you, and almost to the point where it's like where we had the past week on SmackDown, where, you know, Jay helped Sami win a match for the first time that's you on the same page, but Sami almost didn't want to, forgive the pun, acknowledge the help from Jey Uso. He didn't want to acknowledge it at all. But Solo was like, well, neither was he. He was literally like, well, to be fair, I had my eye on what Sami was doing. I thought Sami did a great job in that match. So it's just, I love how all the elements have been playing together. Everyone's got their role. Even when Paul Heyman's about, Paul Heyman's not really a fan of it either, but of course he'll listen to his tribal chief and do what he says. So all these components are just beautifully done. And it's making not just Sami Zayn the best character, but it's making the Bloodline just feel so fresh, because there was an argument that Bloodline could have started to be getting stale towards in the summertime. A lot of people were saying it's time for Roman to drop the belts, but while this storyline is going on, there's so many components from it. And like we said, there's an end game for this with Sami Zayn. I think WWE have got one end game, but I'm starting to think maybe it should be a different end game, but I'm sure we'll touch on that later on.
We will. Yeah, it's been discussed, and we're going to get there. Look, yeah, like you said, Sami Zayn, he's doing some really good work. You mentioned obviously Roman's not around all the time, so this is kind of good stuff to kind of keep things ticking along. I think I saw something the other day that Roman's only going to be like televised or on pay-per-view another 7 dates for the rest of the year.
True, yes.
So yeah, like you said, we've got now the Jey Uso and Sami Zayn friction that will help this story kind of tick along, and then of course whatever Roman's going to be doing here and there when he is around will help as well. Do you think, obviously, to kind of dress up the Bloodline and with the belts and stuff like that, Sami should win a title, win a belt? Maybe the Intercontinental Championship is obviously what's on SmackDown. Do you think he necessarily needs that belt to kind of, you know, look like he's part of the Bloodline?
At one point, I felt that was where the direction was going, because of the fact that this was before Solo came into the picture. Obviously, Jey was saying you need to prove your point, you need to prove your place. I always felt that if he needed to win a title, because now Solo's in the picture, Solo's the title guy, he's the US title guy. For me, if it was going to be that, Sami should have been the 24/7 champion. That's the way he should have done it. He should have brought himself in with that gold and been like, look, see, I've done it. I'm part of the Bloodline. And you just imagine the idea of the, you know, the seriousness of all them in the ring as well at one point, and then just seeing Sami having to run away because all of a sudden Akira Tozawa's jumping over the guardrail. But it's probably not a good look as well at the same time. And I can see perhaps now that Trips, Papa H is now in control, that title seems to have faded away in the background. So in my answers, Sami, he kind of, how to put this in the best way, but he is that guy that we know what he can do later on. But I think that while he doesn't have a championship, this storyline keeps ticking along perfectly. The second he wins gold, he actually becomes where he proves he is part of he can be a part of the bloodline because he's good enough to be there. The moment he doesn't, and where he continues to lose matches and be the one to let the bloodline down, that eventually will be where the heartache will come, where a split can come. We're already crying for Sami to be that guy, and he's meant to be a heel right now, but he's kind of creeping into tweener role. When the heartbreak happens, he's full on babyface, and we're all behind him.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And we, for those especially that have seen Sami Zayn since the Indies, he claims that he doesn't know this guy called El Generico, but if anyone has seen him since then, and obviously when he came to NXT and that the love that everyone had for Sami Zayn, and that was the beginning of like the turn in, I guess, recruitment in NXT, when it was no longer necessarily trying to push through these athletes and stuff like that, but get these indie stars that they just need to be polished for TV. Sami Zayn was probably one of the main instigators around that because he was very popular at the time. So yeah, like you said, this beloved babyface is within Sami Zayn. We know that. It's just what's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back that brings it out basically and makes that switch happen. I personally believe as well, right, that Jey Uso and Roman Reigns are playing Sami Zayn.
Oh, nice.
I don't believe like the stuff where Roman is kind of casting out Jey, like, oh, we're going here, you don't come, you stay here. Like, I really think that they're doing this to eventually stick the fork in Sami Zayn. What do you think about that?
I haven't really thought of that side of the story because I have my vision of where I think it will lead and go. But to think of it as that way, I think that would be a lot of fun because that will instigate a lot of heartache as well with the fan base. We will resonate with that. We'll get behind Sami with that. So if there's a ploy in this all along, that it's to just string him along to the moment is right and then ditch him like a bad habit, we're going to want Sami to win gold from the bloodline even more. So for me personally, I think that would be a perfect way that they could do the storyline. I would be gripped going forward if they did it that way, especially as until you mentioned that, I wouldn't have seen that coming.
Yeah, I really just think the way Roman is treating Jey is literally like you've changed. You've literally just changed. So yeah, I feel like maybe that's what they're doing, make him feel more comfortable before the eventual split. But as wrestling fans, we've seen these types of storylines a million times. I think we can all assume a split is coming, is on the horizon. Now let's get there. Let's talk about where we think this is going to end, or how this is going to end. Firstly, let me ask you this: who do you think is going to beat Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal Championship, and who should beat Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal Championship?
Very difficult question. Because who will is very difficult at this point. You could argue Cody could be the right person on return at this point, but honestly, Roman has overcome all challenges. I did think that Drew in Cardiff felt like the right time at the moment, but at the same time, obviously, watched your fantastic vlog, by the way. The reaction of Solo coming in, I thought was absolutely epic, by the way. But we've just seen this story continue to go from strength to strength. I would love to have seen like someone like Kevin Owens, but it seems to have faded in the background. I just don't think Kay was the right guy to do it. But the thing is, who should at this point, and this is where we can go back to where I was alluding to earlier, I feel that they could be going for, obviously, Sami and Jey could be the long-term destination of the end goal of this. I start to feel Sami should be the one because Sami's that over. Like,
ding. Correct answer.
He is that over though, because the thing is, like, just imagine. He's not going to do it. I don't think he's going to do it. But if he was to, imagine WrestleMania night 1, night 2, whatever they do it, it will be night 2 if it was going to be. But it would be like a Daniel Bryan moment, like the WrestleMania 30. The place will erupt, and you will build a new start overnight. This has organically got over, rather than sort of we've been planning on pushing this top star, trying to make, what they did with like John Cena or Roman Reigns back before, where you got the mixed reactions. This is all in. The crowd, Sami to be the one. If people actually be presenting the idea, what if Sami was the one to beat Roman Reigns? I think a resounding answer would be 90%. They'd be happy with the answer, and you'd have a top guy overnight with it. So for me, I thought Sami should be the one, but will he be? I don't think he will be.
I mean, I'm 100% with you there. Maybe that was a loaded question. Cody Rhodes is obviously the favorite, I guess, the bookie's favorite. He's gonna
Yeah,
come back, win the Rumble, this, that, and the other. We're gonna end up with Cody, possibly by the end of WrestleMania, holding the championship. But I just think, like you're saying, organic storyline wise, just getting over, and we all love a story. We've seen this kind of stuff before. Like, this is where it should be. Sami Zayn triumphing over Roman Reigns, and like we've seen situations like this, like you mentioned, Daniel Bryan. I genuinely think this potentially could be bigger than Daniel Bryan's win at WrestleMania, just because right now where Sami is so loved, and obviously Daniel Bryan had the whole movement where he got the fans involved and stuff like that. But, all it takes is for him to be mistreated, and then Kevin Owens to maybe help to kind of re-uplift his old friend in Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn will defeat those guys on the way to Roman Reigns, the Solos, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso. He could probably have a whole, at least a 2-month feud with before he gets to Roman Reigns. And then, we get to Roman Reigns, and he wins the big one, and Sami Zayn's never been a world champion. So this is another, feather in the cap that he could almost have. I get the argument on the other side of things. People say, well, Roman's drawing big right now, and Sami Zayn wouldn't be a draw, financial draw, and all that kind of stuff. WWE have taken gambles in the past, rightly or wrongly, on these kind of superstars. I really do think where this story is going, there is only 2 people that should beat Roman, and that is either Sami Zayn or Jey Uso. But I don't know.
It would be a fun story if it was Jey Uso, the full circle of where this started to where it ends. That would be a lot of fun as well. If this wasn't where they were in cahoots and it led to a breakup and a split, do it, because it would be something different. But of course, I mean, today's topic is Sami Zayn, and I'm going to be honest with you, Sami at the moment, even though Jay's doing fantastic work on the heel side, Sami is the one that is getting over. So for me, it still would be Sami of the 2.
Yeah. I think there's a lot more stock in putting the title on Sami as well. And to be honest, like, I don't know where you sit with this. They probably do need to split these titles, and Sami could be more like the workers champion, that kind of guy, where they then put the other title on someone that's kind of more Hollywood in Cody Rhodes. Maybe that's how they kind of split it and divide it. I mean, like, I don't think any of us truly believe that Sami Zayn will be the guy, although we might think he should be. I think we're going to get to a storyline where Kevin Owens swoops in to help his friend, and maybe Kevin and Sami win the tag team championships from the Usos at WrestleMania. For me, that seems a lot more likely. In terms of getting towards WrestleMania, what do you genuinely think is going to happen between Sami Zayn, the Bloodline? Where do you think that's going to go?
So I think that the cracks will begin to appear at War Games. I think the Bloodline will lose the 5-on-5 in War Games. I think Sami will be the one that will lose on behalf. I think that will start the cracks. They can say, look, see, Sami, he is the letdown. We could have got the job done. We would have won in War Games. This is the guy that let us down. It can get towards Royal Rumble season. I think that's when the breakup can happen. You can build towards Elimination Chamber, what you're going to do there, where perhaps KO can get involved. That's when you can get the WrestleMania match then between KO and Sami against the Usos for the tag team titles. For me personally, if I was to get what I wanted, I would do a similar storyline, but I would do the Usos versus KO and Sami Elimination Chamber. I would have thought, as that's probably going to be in Saudi Arabia next year. But at the same time, looking at it, if you could have Cody's return, he needs to have revenge against Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins now the US champion. So why not have the American Nightmare go for the American Championship? And that way can actually say maybe Sami and KO fail with the tag titles. That leads to Sami finding a way to go after the big dog Roman. That's in the fantasy booking of what I want. But it's not what we're going to get. I just want this vision of Sami and KO against Roman. Both titles on the line. Just like WrestleMania 16, one title for one match, one for another. KO and Sami win one belt each, and they can celebrate like Eddie Guerrero and Benoit did at WrestleMania 20. I know I'm fantasy booking, and I'm going completely off the wall.
Perfection.
It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. I will settle for Sami though at this point, because Sami, he is just like Shawn Michaels. He can tell a story so beautifully as a babyface. In NXT, his story with KO was beautifully written. It was amazing. It was just finding a way though to get Sami the character to that next level. Where we started this video is where that Sami has gone from then to really get himself over to where he is now. And now it's getting to the point that people are taking notice. And like you said, maybe it's not going to be the box office draw, but take the gamble, because you never know. You could just have someone that be on your cards to be a megastar without even realizing it, and not realizing it for years.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I just feel like, you know, not to do it out of charity reasons, but just genuinely for Sami Zayn, everything he just stands for as a man, all the charity work he's done. And, you know, this is a different type of champion that they can anoint. Not the one that looks like $1 million, but the one that's almost this amazing humanitarian at the same time. And I know right now they're not telling that story with him, but with his character. But you know, his character could kind of go to that place. There's different things that champions offer. You know, once they become champion, they'll get them to do different things that's more aligned with their character. And yeah, right now, Sami Zayn's doing brilliant work. The Bloodline are doing brilliant work. Cody Rhodes, I understand, is, I guess, the hand-picked one. But like you said, I would more prefer him to win the US Championship. This lost time where he's got injured, it irks me a bit that he could just come back, win the Royal Rumble, and turn up at WrestleMania. So I would prefer he kind of, you know, tells the story that he wanted to tell in this period almost over the next year, maybe as US champion, maybe even win Money in the Bank and go from there. But yeah, like, it looks as if Cody Rhodes is going to be the one to get the opportunity at Roman. Although, yeah, it really should be Sami.
I totally agree with you, 100%.
Listen, we had a great conversation there about Sami Zayn and his character. Just to kind of round it off, what other characters are you really enjoying right now in WWE?
Sorry, Max, I'll have to ask for that question there again. I'm worried.
I was saying, we just had this great conversation around Sami Zayn and his character and where it's going. Just to round off the conversation, who else are you enjoying at the minute in WWE?
Good question. I mean, I'm really enjoying the Judgment Day. I think that they've come from strength to strength recently. I'm intrigued to see where the storyline goes with the OC, and now AJ Styles got some backup. I'm looking forward to seeing what the OC bring to the table with him. On the side of that, I mean, I still think Bianca Belair is doing fantastic stuff as Raw Women's Champion, although I do feel that Bayley should win the championship next time round. I'm probably forgetting someone that's really screaming out to me. Alpha Academy always are amazing. So, yeah, that's for me there. They're a lot of the ones that probably stand out at the moment.
Cool, amazing. Again, thank you for coming, Steve. Do you want to tell the people about your channel?
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, SCW, the wrestling channel, available on YouTube. Yeah, literally do Q&As, do predictions videos, reviews, pretty much just ramble on about wrestling. You've probably seen I talk a lot, so that's pretty much my shtick. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, then please hop on over, check out our video, and if you enjoy it, please subscribe. But also, while you're here, make sure to check out other videos from Mex as well, WrestleManiac UK. You're getting close to that 1,000 subs, my friend.
It's a hard slog, but I enjoy just making the content. Like, the subscribers will come, but honestly, guys, I can swear by, you know, what Steve is creating. Like, there's not a time where if I'm not bored, I'm looking for something to do. Like, there's always videos on Steve's channel, like all the time. It's like, so you've definitely got a home if you like your wrestling content in Steve's channel. So definitely subscribe. His link, it will be in the description, so just click the link and join his community as well. But that is all, guys. We'll be back next week for another video just like this. Steve, again, thank you for coming through.
Thanks for having me.
WrestleManiac UK signing out, and I'll see you soon.